Hey friends, this year I decided to participate in the month-long readathon, the Pixarathon. This will be taking place throughout all of August. All of the prompts are based on different Pixar movies, which, to be honest, I really loved as a kid, but I haven't seen a lot of the more recent ones. I know some people are planning to only read a few books while also watching all of the Pixar movies, and I do have access to Disney+, so I might check out a few of the movies that I loved growing up, or the ones I've never seen before. I don't really know yet. Now, for my TBR, I want to start by saying that maybe don't hold me to this. As of making this video, I only own one of the books on my TBR because I love my local library and also live in a very well-funded library system due to a very terrible, very wealthy person deciding to build libraries about 100 years ago. So I am on the wait list for a few books on this list, and also I might not be able to renew the books if I don't finish them before I have to return them. If that's the case, I will try to find something new. I also tried to pick a book for each movie prompt, which is somewhat ambitious, but you know, I love my ambition despite the several times I have set unattainable goals only to feel devastated when I failed. So here are the books. The prompt for Toy Story is to read a book with Own Voices disability representation. For that I am reading Disfigured on Fairy Tales, Disability, and Making Space by Amanda Leddick. I've heard it is a really interesting collection that challenges the ableism in fairy tales. I'm very interested in disability justice as someone with a blind parent. I do advocate for accessibility when and where I can, but when it comes to this topic, it is better to listen to people who are actually disabled. I'm really looking forward to reading this book. The prompt for Bug's Life is to read a book with a circus or carnival. I'm going to read City of Masks by Mary Hoffman. This is the first book in the Starvaganza series, which is about people in our world getting transported to a somewhat fantasy version of Italy hundreds of years ago. This book takes place in what is basically Carnival in Venice. I read the first couple books when I was in middle school, and I'm really excited to revisit the series. The prompt for Monsters, Inc. is to read a book that will make you laugh. For this, I'm reading Sal and Gabby Fix the Universe by Carlos Hernandez, which is a middle grade book about a stage magician who also has the power to literally rip tears in the multiverse. I really like the first book, Sal and Gabby Break the Universe, so I'm hoping this one will deliver the same energy. The prompt for Finding Nemo is to read a book you forgot about. My pick for this prompt is to read The Knockout by Sanjini Patel. It is about a South Asian girl who is a boxer, I think. I borrowed it from the library an embarrassingly long time ago, and it just kept auto-renewing due to COVID protocol around physical books, and I need to actually read it. That way I can return it to the library and other people can read it. Also, because my library system is ending some of the COVID protocols around physical media, so I'm running out of time to read it. The prompt for The Incredibles is to read a book set in the 1900s. I couldn't find one for a while. I have a lot of books set in the 21st century, and a fair amount set in the 18th and 19th century, but not the 20th. I don't know why. I eventually decided to borrow the young adult classic The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I never read this book, but I did read a text by S.E. Hinton once and I remember liking it. So let's just hope for the best. The prompt for Cars is to pick a fast read. I will be reading Unfuck Yourself, Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life by Gary John Bishop. I don't really know anything about this book other than the fact that it is short, will hopefully be a quick read, and also that my therapist recommended it because we suspect I have ADHD. Let's just hope this helps me. The prompt for Ratatouille is to read a book set in a country other than your own. I will be reading The Blue Castle by Ellen Montgomery, which should be set in Canada. I have not confirmed that it's set in Canada, but I'm reasonably confident it is since it's an Ellen Montgomery book. If you've been around for a while, you know that I read the Anne of Green Gables series and the Emily of New Moon series from this author, and absolutely fell in love with it. The writing is funny, engaging, and all of the characters are so lovable in their own way. The prompt for Wall-E is to read a book with sci-fi elements. I'm going to be reading Axiom's End by Lindsay Ellis. I know this book is set in like 2007 or so and has aliens. That's all I know about this. I've heard it's compared to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, and I really like that book. My husband has read the book and really liked it, so I'm trying it out so we can talk about the book together too. The prompt for Up is to read a book with an elderly main character. I am going to be reading Until Tomorrow, Mr. Mars Earth by Sheila O'Connor, which is about a little girl who becomes pen pals with an old man. I think the story is also about her trying to save money so her brother can go to college and avoid the draft. And the old man is a pacifist who helps, I think. The prompt for Brave is to read a book based on any folklore or myths. I'm going to be reading Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston. It's the third in the Geekarella series, which I absolutely adore. Modern day fairy tale retellings are kind of my favorite thing. I've never actually seen Brave, but I think someone gets turned into a bear, and that's also pretty beast-like, so I think it's a good fit. The prompt for Monsters University is to read a book set at a university or school. I'm going to read The Passing Playbook by Isaac Fitzsimmons. This is about a trans kid who makes it onto, I think, the soccer team at their school, and they aren't allowed to actually play in the matches because they are trans, which, as states pass anti-trans legislation targeting children across the country, is something that could be happening more often. The prompt for Inside Out is to read a book that will make you think. I am going to read White Fragility, Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism by Robin DiAngelo. This book made it onto a lot of anti-racist reading lists that made their rounds last year. I've had it on my list for a few years now, and as an Asian person, I spent a lot of time trying to dismantle white supremacy, both professionally by trying to change the systems and society in which we live in, and personally by trying to figure out which harmful ideologies I've internalized and how I can unlearn those. The prompt for The Good Dinosaur is to read a coming-of-age story. For this one, I'm reading Cool for the Summer by Dahlia Adler. I think it's about a bisexual teenager and is loosely based on Greece. Those are the only things I really know about the story, and I'm hoping it will be good. The prompt for Coco is to read a book featuring music or musicians. I will be reading Amina's Voice by Henna Khan. I don't know what it's about. I just googled books about music, and this came up on the list. I think it's about stage fright. I also know that our titular character is a Pakistani-American Muslim girl. That's all I got. The prompt for Onward is to read a book involving a puzzle or mystery. I will be reading The Name of This Book is Secret by Pseudonymous Bosch. This is the first book in the series. I read it in high school, but the second book hadn't come out yet, so I'm revisiting the series as well in the hopes of actually being able to finish it. The prompt for Soul is to read a book with a main character of color. Honestly, I think this is one of the easiest prompts on the list, even though they've all been fairly broad. I will be reading Meet Cute Diary by Emery Lee. I've heard a lot of good things about this book online. I think the main character is Latino. I'm excited to get to this. The prompt for Luca is to read a book set on or near the sea. I am going to read The Girl from the Sea by Molly Knox Ostertag. I do not own this book. This book has a waitlist at my library. I might not actually be able to access this book in August, but if I'm able to, then I'll give it my best shot. I really like Molly Knox Ostertag's previous books, the Witch Boy series, so I'm hoping I'll like this one too. Okay, so those are all the books I'm planning to read for the Pixarathon. If you want to see my progress, I recommend checking out my Twitter, where I post pretty regular updates whenever I finish a book. Let me know in the comments if you're participating in any readathons this month, or if you've read any of these books. And if you want to see more from me, you can subscribe, watch another video of mine, or support me on Patreon. And hey, I love you!